Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We do.
but
yeah.
Okay.
you can't really
Well.
depend on me though, because I can have to leave suddenly
Right.
Sure.
No.
No,
We're
no,
we're
no.
we're good.
Well, today was kind of
for
weird because I had to
various
work late.
reasons.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to work late. It's chaos at my work.
We
You
are
know,
live by now. By now. Oh, by the way. Yeah. We were talking about uh,
Kirby and
yeah, stuff,
street
muggings,
fights.
in
Like,
yeah, yeah.
Nice,
Rosetta had
nice work.
street fights, and Kirby had street fights, and best way though to God, try to figure out a way not to get in these fights because they can go so wrong. All these people, everybody that dies from just falling backwards and hitting their own head on the cement. That's how you
that
die.
can certainly happen.
Yeah.
Mario, when you were a young kid, you lived in, was it Brooklyn or was it
No,
the
the
Bronx? The
Bronx.
Bronx. Oh, okay.
Even
Yeah.
though I was born in Oklahoma.
And
Oh,
you
okay.
talk about these events, and you said the word the stoop, so you had that experience of having a stoop, out there where people are
And
hanging out.
I don't miss the over quiet of Oklahoma. And actually, it wasn't like that when the last time I was there. It was pretty bad. It was getting bad.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I do miss. I have really fond memories of being in Oklahoma when I was a late teenage and early 20s. The kindness and generosity,
Hmm.
and like people, anybody would stop in the middle of the street and talk to you for half an hour.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It felt like you were surrounded by like minds, and or minds that at least that weren't.
Friendly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't looking like you think of New Yorkers. It's like, hey, what you doing? Get out of there, or whatever. That's my New York impression. It's like it's like you got to be ready to, like you say, it's just. Are we
I
ready
can
to
do the
rumble
accent.
here? I got to look
Well,
out after what?
you
Go
work
ahead.
in the accent. I'm pretty good at mimicking accents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mimicry. If I was good at mimicry, I wouldn't sound like I sound like. I'd sound like I'd sound like Lawrence
Montgomery
Olivier.
Cliff. I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
yeah. Somebody,
Somebody.
somebody,
Somebody.
Okay,
somebody distinctive.
good save.
So,
Sean
so
Connery.
there you go. So
He's one of
when,
my idols.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, he's great. If I gave somebody a movie recommendation, it was no doubt Scott. I was telling him how great the movie Ombre is, and it's like,
oh yeah.
hey Scott,
Well,
you want to know a good movie? This was Sean Connery's favorite movie. What kind of a recommendation is that? It's like, hey, Sean Connery says it's okay. You got to see this movie.
I still haven't watched it, by the way.
That's all right. But it's also Elmore Leonard, so you gotta check that
Yeah,
out sometime.
I'll check it out.
he's had made some movies. What's the one where?
Mr.
I can't remember.
Majestic.
No, where the grifters. The grifters. That's the name
Oh
of
Oh
yeah,
it.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
the Grifters is good.
That
Yeah,
was pretty intense.
I
Oh
like
yeah,
Jackie Brown.
great story.
Yeah, Jackie Brown. I've seen a couple of times. Pretty
Yeah,
good
yeah,
story.
yeah.
Yeah,
That got to me the second time I watched it because I thought, am I kind of cool? Does this story take too long to unwind? And then the
no,
second viewing of it, it was like, golly, this is the best thing on earth. This is great. And
I
it also seemed like it was about two times quicker than it seemed like the first
yeah,
time. It's like
yeah.
great,
I
great stuff.
like, I like Jackie Brown. It's probably my favorite Tarantino movie, which is kind of crazy to say because he didn't write it.
Hmm.
But I like Rum Punch, the book it's based on, a lot too. There's just
Yeah.
enough difference
Oh well,
between
there's
the
uh, there's
two.
there's a world
See that?
of difference by the time you've written a screenplay and made something into a film.
They made
So
a movie out of it. Rum
yeah,
Punch.
yeah, yeah,
I
Yes,
didn't
yes.
see that.
Well, no, it's Jackie Brown. Jackie
yeah.
Brown is the
Is Rum Punch.
Oh, okay.
he changed. Uh, well, he changed a couple things. The
That's what I mean. He wrote it by the time he
Name
was
change
done with
didn't
it.
heard it then. You know.
Yeah, he changed the name, which was a good thing. And Pam Grier was great in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Everybody was.
Oh, yeah.
Samuel Jackson had a minor part, remember, in the beginning.
Yep.
And now he's like the #1 guy.
Oh, yeah.
At least floating in and out of #1. You know.
Yeah. What was the guy's name that paid the bondsman, the bail bondsman, Ellis? Just died recently.
Robert Forster.
Oh yeah,
he's great.
Him. Yeah.
You know, could you recall what one of his very first movies might be?
No.
Well, of course he did the Black Hole, which is his Disney movie. If you've ever seen that, that's a cool movie. Well, people really dump on it a lot, but I've always liked the Black Hole. I like the little robot designs in it. And he did Reflections in a Golden Eye.
Oh, really?
He had to do a lot of nude. As a matter of fact, he's probably nude almost every shot he's in it.
Oh my gosh!
He becomes the obsession of poor old Marlon Brando, who is having to deal with his wife, who is Elizabeth Taylor, who is
yeah, that's like a love triangle, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're having a hard time in their marriage, basically.
I was watching I hadn't watched any horror stuff except for the one that whose name I am going to forget, Guillermo, forgetting his full name. He did the last.
Guillermo del Toro.
Del Toro, yes. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
That show he did was, well, he did some Cthulhu stuff. I like the game, you know.
Oh yeah, Call of Cthulhu.
And
really? He did a Call of Cthulhu?
Well, he didn't do it straight, directly story, as far as I can tell. But he may have said it's based on something. I don't recall.
Well, have you seen Shape of Water, Ellis?
I have not. I give Guillermo a chance pretty often, but for some reason, Shape of Water didn't light my fire as an idea to watch. I don't know why. I like monsters and all that, but
no, it's good. I mean, it's the creature from the Black Lagoon basically is a love story. You know, but it's good. It's good.
It's got Doug Jones in it again, right, as the monster.
Yeah, and that may be one of my favorite things of his.
Okay, well, I guess I got to give it a chance someday. He
I
had
got
a little. Did you see this Del Toro stuff as part of his a series that he was producing, or is it as just a film, a one-off?
I believe he produced it. I don't, I did read those and acknowledged them at the time, and then don't need to keep that on the top filing system there.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
We understand.
I've got some stuff I just watched that I'm all enthusiastic about right now because it hit me in a good spot. These Edgar Allan Poe inspired stories on Netflix called The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh.
And they were pretty good stories, and of course they're just taking off and going wild with just the titles, but they'll touch just enough on it that you say, oh yeah, I remember that from the Cask of Amontillado, sealing the guy up and all that. You know it's coming. Yeah. They're going to hit the big points, but they do it in a totally different way, modern and all that. As a matter of fact, the whole thing is about the mess with OxyContin. I can't say it. The addiction problems with OxyContin. I'm not saying it right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's about this family. The Usher family has made their fortune telling people that their drug is non-addictive, etc. But that, of course, it's very addictive, and it'll kill you if you try to get off of it. Practically, they're throwing a little extra So it's like,
That's a modern take on Poe, that's for sure.
yeah, it is modern. But so that's the background on who the Ushers are. It was pretty good little show.
And Corben did.
Oh, he loves him some Poe, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Corben was he was made for delving into some of what Poe's madness was all about. Yep, the rats behind the wall and stuff. Well, that's a little more H.P. Lovecraft there. I'm trying to think of the main Poe stuff he did.
And he was inspired by Poe.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen King claims that H.P. Lovecraft is his greatest influence.
Really?
Huh.
Yeah.
I could kind of see that, maybe. I mean, obviously he's got his own spin on it. He's not directly copying him, but I could see that.
He used some of the tentacles, before everybody's using tentacles now, but and they got that from Lovecraft,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Cthulhu comes out of the water and his face is, octopus.
The color out of space, yeah.
The Call of Cthulhu.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the Call of Cthulhu.
he's got tentacles on his mandibles.
Yeah. 50 feet tall.
Boy, I don't know. Did you see The Mist? I've got a DVD, and if I ever watch The Mist again, I'm going to. They included the black and white version. That's the only way to see a movie like.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
right. That would be better in black and white.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
It amazes me no one thinks that they can make money with a movie by putting it out in black and white.
Something
I
just came
did-
out that was black and white.
Yeah, I dig it fairly often, especially for horror.
Yeah, it sets the mood.
Yeah, and you have to be, you got to have it on the ball as an art director for a movie to give you a horror film in color. You got a lot of decisions to make.
That's all you need is to get, I've never been that ambitious, but there were times in LA. I lived in LA for about
Oh, you did?
3.5 years. Yeah.
I lived in Culver City for about
Oh.
that same amount of time. Yeah, if you've been there and you live there like you have, you see a movie like I just saw a movie called No to Live and Die in L.A. You'll always want to entertain the idea of going back. I think.
Hop in the car.
Did you hate it or did you like it?
When were you there?
I was there 10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years ago. That's a different
and
story.
probably was there a solid 3 or 4 years.
I was there. I went there in 1980, and it was a bad recession. Even though you could still get jobs, there were jobs all. It wasn't hard to
Yeah.
get a job when I was employed. Nothing great, because I'm not ambitious, and I wasn't doing. Did not have yet developed the wonderful gift of gab that I now possess.
Well, if you're like me, the gift of gab is given a turbo boost by not having a lot of stress in your social situations. If I had to deal with the politics of being in a work environment, it would just go away. It would just go
You got to
away.
be confident.
Yeah, you do have to be confident. That's the only thing that is required in life. Is you can be totally wrong about something, but if you're confident about it, you're fine.
Yeah. Evidently.
Yeah.
That seems to work that way.
It's like just don't lose the confidence. What is that thing about like something dissolves underneath you if you lose your confidence, or some sort of thing where you're losing. Oh well, I guess Tinkerbell. I don't know.
No, yeah.
I'm trying to think of something. There's some sort of incident where someone is losing their confidence and things start to fade. I can't remember the exact drama.
That's a trope in fiction.
Yeah.
Your power lasts until you doubt it.
Yeah. You doubt your power and you're dead. Yep.
I have learned painfully how to navigate the office politics system.
Yeah.
But it I don't know. It's like I talked to my mom and she goes, "Well, you have job security," and I'm saying, "Job security, a job that may kill me," you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. And and I have to say, my opinion is that you're in a supervisory
yeah,
position. You have to deal with, and then, we've driven ourselves crazy with the media,
yeah,
and people are crazy now.
yes,
It's more typical to find them giving vent to craziness. Yeah. I think they were embarrassed about it before, but if you get enough people that are melting down on social media, it's like, hey, I can be that crazy.
yeah,
and
I don't want to be crazy. I want to be relaxed.
yeah, exactly.
yes, exactly. Why life is too short.
Well, when you're young, I understand that when you're young, you can't prevent that from happening.
Yeah, that's where the rage comes from, being young and
Not understanding and being impatient. And,
yeah, wanting it to give way. You want to say, okay, open that door,
you can live.
get out of my way. That's where the momentum of life is at.
And I think what happens is, when you're younger, you see life as kind of this competition for resources. And when you get older, you're like, well, I didn't really need all that stuff anyway.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You kind of get kind of this Zen thing of, well, I've accumulated too much stuff anyway.
You finally got around to reading Marcus Aurelius, where about 90% of it is, hey, it's all small stuff.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Well, right now I'm at about page 204 of Goddess of Pigland, Mario. So, yeah.
Now, when he says that, do you know pretty much where he's at, or how many times did you read your book yourself?
Oh, I read it about 3 times after I had it together.
You did a modest amount of rereading, and I probably read my own dumb book about, God, I must have read it 15 times in its iterations of, because it's like,
then I've read it 20 times, like you said.
Yeah, you've read it 20 times. I was going to say.
I rewrote the whole thing. I rewrote the whole thing because when I first started writing, I did not understand what the active voice was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you come along and you realize I've got all this stuff that's in passive voice, you can't stand it. You realize it could be so much better. Yeah.
Supposedly hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
What is the active voice?
When you say something, he was about to do this. You have to.
He was about to. He did.
Yeah, you got to say he did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was giving a bad example first. I was going to say, when you say something was, you say he did. Yeah,
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
He was thinking about it, but then you
add. Just like it says,
I'm doing a bad passive voice examples. Go ahead.
Present tense.
Yeah.
Yes,
you have to put it in present tense. Yeah, and all that. The big secret is all revealed in the English book. One of the authors is English. Strunk and White.
The style manual or whatever it's called.
English, I forget what it's called.
Well, I write
put
about 200 email a day, so that's
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's doing nice drawings there. Good work.
Scott's both of us are.
Well, I'm caught up with my comic book. I don't know if Dan is watching. If Dan is watching, I put the pages in the Google Drive. So I wanted to just draw some superheroes.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed with this idea of style, and I've had this pad sitting under my desk forever getting beat up, and I thought, well, this would be the perfect thing to, because it's glued, so it's not like, and it's big. I didn't realize how big it was when I ordered it. I mean, I read the dimensions, but I got it. It's this big, massive brick of paper. So this is not going anywhere with me. So this is a good use for it.
I'm reading this right now called Final Cut by Charles Burns. I got to hold it still.
A couple of his books.
Yeah, he's a unique stylist.
He is unique.
And,
and copied very much right now.
Yeah. He reminds me of somebody like, he's got all this angst, but at the same time he gives you this big dose of David Lynch kind of extra slight dread or something about it. It's just unsavoriness.
We read
we
read Black Hole on the podcast, and I hadn't really read anything of his before that. And I find his drawing style, and I know it's meant this way, but I find it very unsettling.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that could be a character in a Lynch film for sure, or in a Charles Burns. Yeah, I mean, it's just all about his rendering. He's got that nailed down for himself.
He evokes the whole world. Yeah, he's got a whole. El Borbo.
I love El Borbo. I was determined to teach.
Right?
Yeah, I love that stuff. I was going to teach myself English I had a Spanish version of it, so I was going to translate it. And
depth. It's genuine.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I've got both copies of that still, so I could lay them out. I've got my English copy and I got my Spanish copy.
I made a miniature of that of El Borbo.
What's that?
I made a miniature of him.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's funny.
I have to dig that out. I made a lot of. Actually, I made some. I showed you the thing. Next time I'll bring those. That's on top there.
Yeah, it was a real shame that you had such a low res version to show me that thing, because it was a very small image. But I
hope I have a larger picture.
Yeah, rephotograph it or something. Yeah,
I could read. I still own the figure. Yeah, I still own it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I could tell it was like, meticulously done in terms of like the texture and everything.
Yeah, when you care about
the pose was cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The only problem is, as I told, as I said before, was that it was 25 millimeters, too small, a little smaller than the rest of my collection there.
Oh yeah.
Mostly 28 millimeters. That's what's happening with the miniatures there.
So what's your
too many of them?
What is your process for making a miniature, Mario? I'm curious.
Are they small enough that you're...
Whatever I feel like doing, whatever appeals to me. I've got a long list, though. I hardly get any of it done. And also, when I'm doing the process, I invent things right there on the spot. Like I'll have, the parts of a body there, parts of a body there, tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of Cthulhu related stuff, because I still read at the adventure books anyway. They're better reading. You get right to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm pathetic. Excuse me.
But what do you sculpt them out of? How do you do all that? That's what I'm curious about.
Materials and process. Scott wants to know process.
Well, then you get some armature, which is usually floral, that green one they use in floral shops.
Yeah,
and
I know what you're talking about.
You make little armatures in the pose that you want to make.
Okay.
And then you buy epoxy. It's a form of epoxy, green and yellow, blue and yellow actually, blue and yellow. It turns green when you knead it together.
I got you. It's two parts.
So, but that's.
And they also use what is that? Miller putty or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that's used. So the rest of it is then you're actually building a little statue on this armature.
Do you cast these or do you not?
I don't. No. I've
Okay.
had
So
it.
you're sculpting in
Yeah.
two-part resin. You aren't using that as just a really stiffening
I'm
up the
not sure that
armature.
is it resin. I'm not sure that is resin.
Oh, it's not.
I
Okay.
No,
don't know.
it's epoxy.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's epoxy. I'm sorry, I just
Okay.
lost my
Okay.
vocabulary between now and
Resin is
when
is the thing that's being used now.
yeah.
We're
Resin is
using, you know,
a
the
casting thing,
Yeah. We use resin at work a lot.
which
the
is
printer, the
the
3D
reason I got
printer.
confused.
I have to
That's
think,
also
I have to think
two-part.
about that to get it. The 3D printer.
That's
they
what we
print
have.
resin. They print with resin.
Right.
So at work, that's what we do in our sculpting department. Well,
Right.
we have a 3D department. They go in and they'll make stuff in 3D, and then we have a resin printer, and it prints
Right.
it,
Yeah.
and then it goes to our mold making department, and they will clean up the print and then they'll get a box and they'll put it in the box, and then they'll pour silicone around it, and then
Sure.
they cut it out, and then they got the silicone mold. But we're working for mass production, or multiple at least.
Hmm. You get a lot of copies out of that one thing. Yeah.
Well, amazingly, we'll like we did something recently. They wanted 450 of this statue of this mascot, and we had to make we made 4 molds, and then we had this stuff called master material that's very hard,
Hmm.
and we pour master material in it, and then the master material, they can make more molds if they need more molds, but most that resin, when you pour it gets hot, and so you can get about, depending on all the details, but it's about 50 pours per mold.
So that's all you get. You got to start over again.
Yeah, it starts to break down, and you have to be careful. I got a problem now at work where we've made a mold on something, and when they remade, and the mold used it, and then when the mold broke down, instead of getting the master and making a new mold, they got a resin, so you lose about 2 to 3% every time, and so now it won't fit.
Scott, I'm gonna have to go.
Okay.
I want to say it's amazing that you guys can draw and talk at the same time. I could not
It's
do that.
hard. It's hard work. It's hard to do. Yeah.
We've done it for a long time, and there will be periods where we will realize that one of us has not spoken for a while.
Yeah. We'll drift off. Yeah.
We'll get this isn't too bad because I'm
I
not drawing
get that.
comic books.
So I know that works.
So you got to go, huh? Okay.
I'm going to take off. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah.
Mario,
you
thank you for
enjoyed
being
it?
on. It's
You
always
had a
good
lot.
to see
You had a lot.
Okay. So good night.
Okay.
Good
Good night.
night.
You got to hit a button there to go away,
Yeah.
or do I hit a button on you?
No, I think he
I
has
can do
to.
it. Leave studio.
Yeah. Leave
Go
studio.
on now.
We'll see ya.
Go on, folks.
Bye bye.
See ya.
He's gone. There he went. All right.
That was great that we got to talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Well,
yeah.
and because I was just about to bring up something that I bet you $1 he would have remembered, that since we're so close to the same age, I was going to bring up Nutty Mads, one of my favorite sculpts of a figurine from back in the
Oh.
day. Mark's Toys, Nutty Mads. I bet you $1 he would have remembered them. Probably had all of them.
He might have.
Well, I don't know how long ago he became interested in being a sculptor, but this may be a kind of a new passion for him. I don't know.
No, I think I'm gonna guess, and so if I misrepresent him, I apologize. But I think what happened is he went to college and started playing Dungeons and Dragons,
Aha. Mhm.
and I think he enjoyed the process of making the miniatures. I don't want to say more than, but he's made thousands of them over the years. I mean, my grandmother used to have. She had a rack on the wall that had I think you would display like collectible thimbles, if you remember those,
Uh-huh.
and it had miniatures in it. It probably had 100 of them, and I mean, he's made thousands over the years. And it's interesting that he talked about his process, because when I was a kid, and I don't know, when I was a kid, I used to take, this is going to sound lame, but you got to remember I was a kid. I used to get gum wrappers, the
Uh-huh.
full gum wrappers, and I would roll them up, and I would make it basically an armature out of a gum wrapper,
Sure, that
and
foil.
I would make armies of these gum wrapper guys. I had
Mm-hmm.
them, and I mean, I made tons of them when I was a kid. It was just an obsession, and
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because I think back to that, and and kind of with figure drawing and the kind of making a maquette, it reminds me of making those
It turned on that
foil.
space part of your brain, yeah.
It just
Space and volume and stuff, yeah.
yeah, and it's like I just was like, I made all those things as a kid. I can still do that,
Sure.
and I guarantee you, if you gave me a gum wrapper, I could. I mean, I'm not kidding. I made hundreds of those.
That's hardwired in there somewhere, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You gave me a gum wrapper. I remember one time and the gold standard was always aluminum foil,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
dare go just grab aluminum foil out of the cabinet. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I wish I had some aluminum foil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
well,
know?
of course, that's what you fairly often have going on in an armature. Get some aluminum foil and get that as the base. That's what I was curious about with his process. It sounded like he was sculpting with that epoxy. And I get you can do it, I guess, but it seems like that's going to all of a sudden start getting stiff on you real quick. Like I was thinking that maybe he was getting more of his armature just like stiffened up and then worked over the top of it with Sculpey, but he never once mentioned Sculpey. So I don't think he uses that.
No, I
Or
think he.
or clay or that what do they call that greasy clay? Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't
I
know.
should
They
know the
use kind
term
of
of
a
that.
greasy clay at work,
Hmm.
but uh,
I've got some of it. I've never played with it. I'm still in its solid brick, wrapped in its plastic hide.
no, yeah.
What else? Well, there went our conversation with Dan. Yeah, as much of it as we did touch on or didn't touch on, yeah, he's going to maybe have me do some drawings for him. That'll be
Oh,
fun.
that's
But
cool.
but he plans. He's already given himself a date that we'll have a Zoom call on the 25th of this month. So it's still like weeks away, or at least one entire week.
Well, I'm glad. I suspected that you and him would kind of hit it off.
Well, we will hit it off, and it doesn't matter if he says, I thought about it, but let's think again. That it won't matter if it doesn't come off.
Well,
Uh,
yeah,
because I obviously I got my tongue out because it means some money, but that's all right.
yeah.
You know,
The
yeah.
well, and like I said, I felt like you and him would hit it off. I feel like you have similar sensibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and and I think when you read his book, because
I'll get him a little better, huh?
it's very funny. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like slapstick. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of it's there's some bad puns in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of some like a lot of the names are kind of play on different things, and
If Mario was here, he'd go bad puns.
yeah, I know. As I said that, I thought, boy, if he sees this, he may be like, no.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm completely
I worked
serious.
on those
And,
puns. That's the
well,
thing I rewrote the most.
you can
Those
tell
puns are perfect.
when you read it, you will go, oh, okay, I get why you spent the time that you did on it,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's
Well,
not.
yeah, it is fun to listen to a guy that has gone on a writing journey and realize he calls it as 15 years in the process. You know, that can be common. That you talk to a writer, and say, "Well, how quick did you write this?" You know, thinking he's going to tell you, I turned it into a 6 month project. And and some guy that is down the road maybe, and he does have 6 month projects. Stephen King has 6 month projects, but Stephen King also has things that percolated for 20 years before he wrote them.
Right.
And.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I am enjoying it. It's been a nice break because I read several shadow books one after another,
Mm-hmm.
and so
So,
it's been kind of a nice little palate
gate.
cleanser,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak.
Yeah, to get somebody a totally different voice in there,
Oh gosh,
right in the
yeah.
big middle of everything. Yeah,
I could not come up with something different to read than those shadows.
yeah.
There's no. I mean, it's very low fantasy. The main
Mm-hmm.
character is it deals with poverty and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's but I know Mario reads, enjoys Tolkien, but this is kind of I wouldn't call it the anti-Tolkien, but it's very it's very like called low fantasy. I don't know if that's a thing,
Mm-hmm.
but
It's interesting how big a fan he is of the Cthulhu stuff. Yeah.
yeah, well, I don't know if you caught that. He told me that he's been reading there's a role playing game called a Cthulhu,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been reading those adventures,
Ah.
the adventure modules that they come out with the adventures, and he's enjoying that. More. I sound like
More
maybe
than
more
more than
more
playing, huh?
more than playing maybe, or I mean, and I don't know, if he is around somewhere where he could play. I mean, I feel like maybe, if he really wanted to, but it sounds like his day's pretty much tied up.
Yeah, yeah. He had to split for reasons, and that's we know that going in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's perfectly fine. I'm thrilled that he can spend the time he spends with us, and
Mm-hmm.
you know. So, what'd you do
Uh,
today?
well, I wanted to tell you the bloom the bloom is off on Early Wine Park in terms of like where society finds it now. I was doing my
Uh,
walk and coming at me, I'm out there with people. I can see other people in view, but coming at me is a group of six that are jogging. They look like they belong there by virtue of jogging, but when they get to you, you realize these people don't belong here. And they're tatted up. They've got the distinctive tats that go all the way up and cover the neck. They're obviously like MS-13 or these Venezuelan gangsters, and and also it's very revealing that they're traveling in groups of six. So basically, we have gang activity now
oh
in
no.
early wine, and I just thought to myself as they got past, and one of them seemed like he was changing lanes a little bit and getting a little more in front of you as you pass by him and all that, just being kind of like extra, like saying, "I scare you? Do I scare you?" That kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A
having that
little
sort of
challenging vibe.
challenging with you, challenge mode. And he was, I'll have to explain him a little more later, but he got past me, and I thought to myself, these guys are predators. And what is this? Is this just an initial probe to look it over, or what? And there's so many things they could be up to that just horrify me. There's a nurse, a playground just real close by where I first saw them. It's like they could abduct somebody from the playground. These guys, the stuff they've gotten up to is so doggone horrific that you read in the news all the time. I just can't hardly stand the idea that I have to just look at it and take it. You know that they're saying like, oh well, we've got enough camouflage on us. We can act like we're jogging on everybody's course, and I guess that's what a liberal would accuse me of what do you call it?
Profiling.
Profiling and typing them. But you're stupid if you see a predator. I mean, if you see a predator coming at you, don't be so stupid to act like you can't recognize one.
Yeah.
You know, let the alarm bell sound. Get ready. You may find yourself buried under fists and kicks all of a sudden. You know.
Yeah.
So just because so I'll be on the alert tomorrow.
Well,
I'm thinking about leaving my wallet in the glove box because I've got other stuff. I could lose my a couple other valuables that I leave in the car. Why not just go all the way? In case they decide to do some mugging, might as well not start over. I'll start over with just one eye, but I don't want to replace my ATM card and my driver's license. I'm just kidding.
I would. Well, first off, I'm gonna go downtown tomorrow. It's supposed to be really nice. I was going to see if you wanted to meet me.
Okay. What's the weather like? Really nice.
Like today.
Mm-hmm. That might be a good idea. I'll give early one a break, and maybe all hell will break loose while I'm not there.
Well, I would. I'd make a couple phone calls too. Doesn't hurt to.
Well, yeah, it doesn't hurt, but I also don't want to talk to cops that much.
Well, that's your choice.
Yeah, I know it, and it's something I probably ought to look up. I ought to see if there is like a gang unit in OKC. And I know some people, some people are, super liberal and everything, and they're just, chafing at this notion that I could see something like that and react to it so strongly. But I'm completely aware of what I saw. I saw guys.
I honestly, I think you should absolutely call the police and
tell them that I'm aware of something, and
well,
it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt them to, huh?
Say, hey, I was at Early Wine at this time on this date, and I saw a group of guys that gave me gang vibes, and I just want to report it, and they'll keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, send a cruiser through about that time of day.
Or have a plainclothes guy. The gang unit is.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't say something.
You're right, because it is just a bunch of sheep out there in terms of like it's 90%, like you could say, elderly people taking their walk.
Yeah, and that may have been what they were looking.
And then the other thing is, like I say, my most horrific thought was playground abductions. It's like, Lord.
You never know, and I think you should report it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to meet me tomorrow, that would be great. I have to be home by 2. So
okay, well, no, that I'm always wanting us to cut it short anyway. In terms of like just do it and say, we did it. It was fun.
Yeah.
We had a hike.
Had a hike. Got a little exercise. Got some food.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing is we can go hang out and walk around downtown, or I can do it without you, but we go downtown and I can walk around and I'll walk 10 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm not, of course I'm not doing it all at once. And so that may be part of it, but it doesn't, it doesn't wear me out. I get a little drawing done. I don't feel like I had to stop everything and go walk around the block and then come home and take a shower. And I get a lot of walking in, and I enjoy it. And, anyway, but you're welcome to join me.
What time?
I will leave work probably about 10 tomorrow. So I'll be there. Why don't we plan on meeting at 10:30?
10:30. Sounds good.
And I'll let you know if there's a problem. my boss is not going to be there, so there shouldn't be a problem. But there's the possibility of problems always exist, and this is the human condition.
Yes.
Such as it is. Hey, I'm kind of enjoying this drawing now that I've got this pencil. I'm using a real pencil. I don't know. I've been in kind of a drawing style funk. You know, it's like now that I'm done with my comic and I've got a little bit of time for the next chapter. It's like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to switch up? You know, just switch up stuff. You know, Dan would say no, but I don't know. I'm always trying to, even if I stick with the same quote style, I'm always trying to perfect it. You know.
Well, and I made a little note to a Twitter thing I saw the other day where a guy was crediting entirely this Frontline Combat cover. It was black and white, it's a shot of a piece of original art, and he said, "This is Wally Wood." I looked at the thing, and I said, "Look at that pose, look at those hands," and I said, "You know what, well, I didn't say, you know what, I stated that this looks like Wally Wood over Jack Davis,
Oh,
because
yeah.
obviously when Wally Wood inks something, it becomes Wally Wood. But I looked at that and I said, I would imagine that Jack Davis did the rough at least, and Wood did all the finish. But the guy said, no, maybe there's so-and-so's hand in it. Maybe Harvey had a hand in it, but not Davis. I know my Jack Davis. I know his distinctive
Yeah, he's got
draftsmanship.
he's got kind of a unique way that he builds figures.
He poses people a certain way. He does things the Davis way. It's like, and there's just a couple of things he does that it's like, who else is doing it that way? Not Wally Wood. Wally Wood, and I don't mean to insult Wally Wood, but Wally Wood would just never be as loose as this was in terms of like, the cool looseness of Davis. He just never could let himself be that way. It would stiffen early if it was Wood, and it's a cool stiffness because it's a finished stiffness, and it's got its beauty. But Davis would have inked it and kept all the rough to it.
Yeah.
He likes his own draftsmanship and how he does stuff. You can still see the the find it lines in his stuff, when he does it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I forget also. Why if I had a subject on that other than we were talking. Were we talking about EC Comics? Oh, we were talking about style.
Yeah,
we were talking about your style, and you're having to bounce around, but you could always just start rendering slightly different, and that's a new style. I mean,
yeah, that's
if you all of a sudden say, I am going to use only this hatching. All of a sudden, I'm going to use just really fine hatching because that's the only thing that will do for this. But then it's like, all of a sudden you get a nice mushy black going on, and you go, I don't know. Let me try mushy black here for a while.
Mushy black.
Yeah, mushy. What else was I thinking about? Oh, there's this guy. I never actually met this guy, but he was so in the mix of conversation for the group I was with during my little period where I was going to Fred Fixler's studio. I forget if it's called California Institute of Art or something like that, that he opened there. And, of course, there was a Riley guy, and then it was Fixler. And Fred Fixler taught an awful lot. He taught, Jeff Watts and Ron Lemon. Well, yeah, he taught Ron Lemon, and then Ron Lemon taught or no, he taught Jeff Watson, and Watts
Yeah,
taught
Watts
Lemon.
taught Lemon.
But it's all connected, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there's this artist named Morgan Westling who is a really good painter, and he was showing off pictures of him standing with Fixler at the studio that I was going to back during the day, and he has got it's a little. I'll have to send you the link. He's talking to a guy that's interviewing him as he's doing a portrait, so it's a split screen. And Westling is responding to his questions about art, and he makes some fascinating, uh, comments. One of them is he asked Fred Fixler when he could be ready to be a guy that steps off and does illustration. And Westling did a ton of very demanding things to think you can step off and do, which is the movie poster industry for Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
You're going to get a lot of notes on what you did, and you got to be tough to go ahead and bring it to a close on that, to be a closer on being a movie poster artist. But he did that at a very early age. He started at 19, but he asked Fixler when he was going to be ready, and Fixler said, "I'll let you know. It's when you're consistent." That's
yeah.
all he said was that when you do the thing you're doing and it's consistent and it's all been brought up to that level that I know it takes, I'll tell you that you've made it. And he got told at that very early age, and pow, he was in it. And of course now he's a fine artist, but obviously he went through, like he called it, a crucible, a trial by fire, and it's like and he talks about that as like you got to step off, you got to quit being a student at some point, and it requires that step through of consistency to where you've got that locked down. You can always do that. But having ingested that much, internalized that much.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a guy at a con one time, an editor at a comic company, small one, not a big comic company, but he said your style, your drawing style. He's talking about comics specifically, but I think it applies to other things. Your style is like a secret language that only you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when you learn it, when you master it, everyone will understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the same thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
No, it
different.
is. Yeah, you get your vocabulary.
Yeah,
And
once you get your vocabulary, then everyone will kind of figure out what you're doing.
yeah, you're not inventing a new alphabet as you go along.
But I think you're right. That consistency is where
it's
it's the
key.
proof. Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
you want to see that? I'll show it to you again. You know.
yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
No,
Ellis,
I'll send you the link to that one. Yeah, we're at 53 minutes, and we're going to meet up again anyway. And plus, it's already 8 o'clock since we started late.
yeah, and
So
I
you
haven't ate
ready?
supper. Yes,
Oh, okay. Yeah. What are
dude,
you
I'm
having?
literally I don't know, something in the microwave.
Something in the microwave. Okay, I'll leave us
Okay,
gone then.
I'll see you tomorrow. Let me know if you're not gonna make it.
Okay. Bye bye,
Okay,
everybody.
see you. Bye.
Add to stage. Press the wrong button again.